it. So we're live. We're actually gonna have comments from all the platforms except one. I'll be able to see them here. You should be able to see them there on your end.
I think
you see a chat box?
Yeah, right side. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you'll see, and then the top left, you should be able to see the count.
Okay.
So let me just stop. Let me look around. It's been a while since I've used this. And somebody's come in. All right. Okay, I see us on Facebook. That's cool. All right. Let's go try this. Here we go. Golden's in the house. That's YouTube. We hadn't been on YouTube at all since we left the platform. Ryan Aguilar, Beast with the Guitar, Austin, Texas. Ian's in the house, Ian Morris, and his beautiful Brittany, and they live in Austin, out around Bee Cave.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ryan's, I think Ryan's moving to Bee Cave.
Cool.
They moved this past weekend.
Oh wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they were out in Bastrop, and I think they're moving.
Oh, yeah.
I think they did. I think that's where they moved. Hey, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
All right, we got 31 people in the house. We got a very special situation here. Ryan, let us know what part of town you're in. You just settled in today? Yeah, this is going to be a very, very special show. It's in the 5D plus frequency because we're just making it up as we go. I'm just going to kind of set this thing up, and then I'm going to hand it over to this beautiful couple, and we're going to start talk about a few different things and see what comes up in the moment. This is not a Soul Speaks 5D. This is a collaboration with Soulogy and listening to Smile. Many of you are familiar with listening to Smile. I think Ian and Morgan and I met way back, 2018. I remember 2018. We met through the beautiful Sarah Richardson.
Yeah.
And Riverside and Congress area. That's where he's at.
Okay.
Long Island, New York's in the house. Trudy, nice to see you. Sasha Grace, Ernest Day. So at that time, she had found your work. And your work was, for me in 2018, something kind of new. I hadn't really been that, I wasn't that well versed in a lot of the different things, like sound healing and just different things like a lot of people are. I was more just the talk show, bringing people together and my own intuit, my own stuff. And so I had an understanding of that. We did, I think, 3 shows, like over a couple of years. I got a few emails from you and checked your stuff out over the 4 or 5 years, and I'd see you out there. I think we did a show again. I can't remember, but through all of this, I've learned a lot more, and I think people have learned a lot more about kind of the new but old, kind of the remixed sacred wisdom that's coming out of the living library in our journeys together here on Mother Earth, especially at this time, because there's such an explosion of the Trinity energy anchored by sacred union in all forms. You made a comment to that before the show. We're going to cover that a little bit. It's part of the story, and all of the frequencies make up the vibration, activation potential of the story that and of what we're going to present today, mostly to them. But I guess, 3 or 4 years ago, I met Ty Hudnall in Sedona, and he does sound healing. He's a musical savant and plays a bunch of different instruments and really composes stuff. And he composes with discordant and beautiful music, and he does this for people, and probably something very similar to what you do. He does it for people and also for groups. Doesn't sound exactly the same. To my knowledge, it might.
Yeah.
But what I did learn in hanging out there last year for 6 months is seeing the effect it had on people and seeing the effect it had on me. Now, I love music, and I love sitting in a studio session with them and just freestyling and just hanging out and making music and finding gold. What that's probably something that's less broad than what you do and what he does, in his practitionership. But nevertheless, I've heard many, many stories, where people are taking into consideration, like y'all do, the geometry, the color, the sound, and the whole 9 yards, the intent. It's really an incredible new but old, or let's say remix of an old alchemical sacred wisdom and science. And so I think this is a big, big part. I don't think so. I know this is a big, big part of the future that we hold, of the further alignment that we'll all have individually and collectively. I know this, and I've always known this. And even in my Soulogy path, I was given Soulogy, the name, or came into my consciousness in 2012 as a conscious human being. It was active in the field prior to that. But 2 years later, on the same day, which happens to be Morgan's birthday, about a year and a half before I'd meet her, I was given the name Soulogy One Studios. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is because it was my understanding that the new spirit science, or whatever you might call it, that would be overtaking the earth, would have a component to it that was not traditional in terms of like my talk show, like where you're just talking and explaining and instructing and whatever the case is, but something that would speak with some lyrical content possibly, but speak through all the other elements, really the physical frequencies materializing as we make this transition and taking on a more palpable part of our existence. So I really gained a lot of respect for it. And so I don't know what's been going on in Texas. I didn't plan on coming down here. I'm here. I'm doing a lot of healing with my family. There's a lot of really cool things happening collectively and personally. I can feel what's happening. And so in that spirit, I find that you wake up every day and you just get out there and you start going. And it's not of that pace, oh my God, I got to get this done, I got to get that done. It's more weird. It's more like, why aren't we getting stuff done? Why is it we don't have any tickets sold, and we're not worried about it, or you know what I mean? It's just really strange, but it's becoming more comfortable for all of us. So I really only know one way to kind of proceed for myself, which is to just jump in there and give it a shot, because there is no written code yet. I believe that's what we're doing, and I believe that sacred union energy, the Trinity energy, the Christ consciousness, etc., is really being remixed one more time. So that's how we kind of came together here. And there's a few things that are kind of on the table. So rather than try to identify what we're doing and label it as we've come from in this old 3D paradigm that we're leaving, why don't we just jump in there and just kind of freestyle it and allow our unconscious, or what used to be unconscious, and our intuitive and telepathy just kind of take over in this vortex that we all create together. I think the last thing I'd like to mention is that I've been following trends and metrics all my life, in my old business life, and certainly on the internet with the availability of the data that you can get, and having run a few platforms for a number of years, I've always I check it out all the time. So I've learned a lot watching other platforms and watching what is engaging people and what is clickbait and kind of not as substantial in terms of the content that it offers, or the activation potential that it offers. I refamiliarized myself with the work of Listening to Smile over the last few days, and their metrics are off the chart. And they basically read like this: extremely powerful engagement, strong activation potential, but not very many people know about it. And so this is also a template that there are many, 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 many people that I know out there and that I don't know that have been doing work, not in the same genre, not in the same modality, et cetera, but they've been slowly coming out and putting out their personal conduit channel that they have with their relationship with the universal, and it's starting to materialize. Most all of these that I'm speaking of are in the same boat. Very strong engagement, very, very concentrated staying power in the communities and followings that they have, or the vortexes that they build. I'd rather say it like that. But not a lot of people know about it. So, part of my job, I feel, as a soul on a personal level, is to apply my talents to get. That was weird. Did I just go off?
No, you're here. You're here.
Yeah, that was really cool. But I feel like that I got a knack for finding stuff and creating a place, where people can get exposure and just kind of work on a symbiotic basis. But having said that, I think it'd be real important to start with like what you were talking about, y'all's story. What is listening to Smile? Because I will say too that some of the testimonies that I heard from you and that I saw on video are absolutely extraordinary. And then your story that the two of you discussed with me when we talked the other day, absolutely extraordinary. And the fact that you're open to talk about it all, I think is going to be very impactful for people, and people, not just people that are interested in what you're doing, but for people that are kind of in the same boat, that are really kind of blasting off in this new environment, still shaking. We still doubt ourselves. We still have a little lack of self-confidence sometimes, but to see that we can actually do it and it's actually happening and working. So yeah, wherever you want to start, let's just go ahead and jump in there.
Okay. Well, I'll start with listening to Smile. So first, thanks so much for having us, Todd. This is really a lot of fun to have this conversation and to share. But yeah, Listening to Smile is a unique sound healing company that really specializes in music licensing for holistic practitioners. So we really focus on that niche of working with holistic practitioners to build more tools in their tool belt and to create more revenue streams and to diversify the practice that they're working in. So that's really the focus of Listening to Smile, is to be support for the people who are already out there on the front lines, being support to people in a spiritual and physical, mental capacity. So a lot of the people we're working with are holistic practitioners like hypnotherapists, life coaches, counselors. We're working with chiropractors, just a lot of other really cool people that are working with people that, necessities for people in these times of awakening and just going through some really uncomfortable and, uncommon times. So I think like the practitioners have been huge since COVID. It's something that there has been a need for that type of support. So that's really what we're focusing on, is working with people who are working with individuals on that level.
Just for clarification, so people can really get this, and I just would reiterate what you're saying is what you're producing, you're specifically aiming this to offer to these types of practitioners to add to their, to enhance what they're doing already, to make it more effective. If you could just give us like a little quick rundown, if you could sum up what that you give, what that you offer to, what is it? I know it's music and but like, if you could just give us a 3-minute, this is how it's created, or this is where it came from, or so we can really get an idea of, because I know with what everyone's going to hear in a little bit about some of these testimonies and really your story together and your story with the Matrix. They'll understand that there's a lot of intention put into this, as you two serve as a conduit.
Yeah. So every month we look at the Vedic astrology information. We have a Vedic astrologer that we work with, and she gives us kind of the forecast each month. What we do is we create an album for the collective, and it's based in what we call frequency minded music, which we trademarked, just kind of made our own approach, a unique approach to working with music. So we're using binaural beats and pure tones. We're using a lot of traditional sound healing tools like gongs, didgeridoos, tuning forks, singing bowls, all of that. But we're also using modern instruments and I play about 25 different instruments, and sometimes I work with guest musicians, and we create music that is a mixture, like we have an album called A Shamanic Journey for the Modern World. And so that's really the approach, is we're taking the old school and the ancestral, tools, but we're also utilizing new modern technology and mixing those together. And we're creating an album every month. And then the practitioners are able to resell this music to their clients. They're able to use it for what we call a multi-use license, which is social media, podcast, commercials, videos. Pretty much every licensing need that they would need with music is covered under this membership with us. So it protects them from getting sued or getting their videos taken down. It's just something that it adds value, but it also is adding extra tools. So there's albums for pain relief. There's albums for shamanic journey. People that have companies or individual plant medicine ceremonies are using this. So there's clinical applications. We're working with veterans, hospice. We've worked with Humane Society. So just a lot of different.
See, I mean, this would be an amazing story if you were like working with them with CBD or, or some type of ingestible herb, but you're actually doing it, really providing the same or even better offering. It's just not, let's say, traditional. Especially as we get into the story and people see how deep this really goes. Wow. Now, last question on the creative part. How do you create an album for headaches or for, some of the other topics of shamanic journey? How do you do that?
Yeah. So I really open up. This has been a long process. I talked about this just a few weeks ago, but, Greg Braden talked about being in Sedona and going to a rain ceremony where, a rain dance. And he said that the guy drove him in his truck to the top of the mountain, and they were overlooking the valley, and he just bowed his head and waited a few minutes, and then he raised his head and said, "Okay, we're done." And Greg said that he was looking for this like elaborate production to do this ceremony, but he said that the guy had been doing it so long that he was just tapped in, and he said within 7 minutes it like started raining where where they were. And so he was saying that it's so funny that we have these assumptions or just perceptions of what something should be. And I think in the beginning when I started this, it's almost 8 years. So November this year will be 8 years that I've been making an album every single month. So it's about 6 to 8 songs. I write, record, mix, and master each month. And so when I'm sitting down in the creation process, I do a meditation. I try to clear my channel, my thoughts, and just really be open to what Spirit's moving through. And there's all kinds of different inspirations that come through conversations with people, intimate partner, Brittany and I, the things we're going through, family members, friends, communication with people at events, and just social media emails and feedback, and looking at political and economic, roles that are playing out in the world, and trying to really create an album that is in alignment with the collective. So really the biggest thing that I do is try to get out of my own way.
Wow.
Yeah.
So essentially what you're saying is that you guys have a kind of a a plan in the present, moving forward, gathering all the material, all the coding, all the experiences, and really it sounds like everything. And then kind of channeling that into your present space with a given topic that comes from inspiration or through that, and then just putting it all through.
Yeah, and so all the music is made like in the alignment of chakras, body organ frequencies, like through Rife, Royal Raymond Rife, if you're familiar with that work, and just basically concentrating chakra frequencies, body organ frequencies, and planetary frequencies. And then Brittany's very powerful channel for light language. She does a lot of the guided meditations that we do.
Wow.
Does a lot of work with coaching with women, and just is one of the most tapped in people I've seen in spirit in my circle in a long time. And so it's just been so inspirational for me when we get to work on music together, or just watching her at some of the events when she's channeling. And
yeah,
really cool.
I would say even in the creation process, when he's making the music, there's a lot of I think just both of us having to be tapped into what's showing up energetically, collectively, and being fully aware of the forecast for the Vedic astrology, and feeling like dropping in and actually feeling what people are moving through and working through, and actually transmuting that into what is being created, so we can create a piece that offers it's like a life, I don't know how you would describe it, like a lifeline, or like a piece of music that is that would help somebody transmute what they're going through, whether it's loneliness or discouragement, or they're having to find clarity on a situation, they're having to course correct, and they need help like feeling the energy to shift into what they're here to actually do. And I would say Ian is a very tapped in, sensitive human being, and he can feel these things. And I think that's one of his big superpowers, is he's able to pull that in and channel it into this music, and then offer this music every single month to people as a way to support them throughout the month. It's really, really cool.
Wow. So, and I remember that about you from the old days, that you put out a lot of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
are you saying that you're putting out now an album a month?
Yeah, so for 8 years, I've been putting out an album a month, but I also, when I do clients, what I call personal frequency coaching, I create customized tracks for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I also have a wellness series that we offer to the public outside of our membership program.
Wow.
So, yeah, so there's sometimes where I might create 2 to 3 albums worth of material in that month. And so it just really depends on how busy we are. But yeah, it's a minimal we've done is an album every month for the last 8 years.
Wow. And like so many energies that we're familiar with, you know, on our journey up to, let's just say up to December 22nd, 21st, 2022, because it seemed like everything's really changed since then, certainly as we've gotten into this year. But things like listening to Smile, things like Soulogy, things like Todd, things like you have kind of like brought the best with them and left the old behind. I think you've experienced a similar situation. We don't have to get into details, but you've had like some kind of incredible offerings, some powerful, what we would deem from, let's say, the 3D lenses, powerful forces, or, big conglomerates, or whatever you want to call it. But nevertheless, you stuck with the purity that was at the core of it, as we're all had that still with us. And the stuff falls off, and who am I, and wow, I'm okay, and wow, this is all right, and no, I'll not take that old carrot that you're going to give me, and give up the farm. I'm going to stick with this. This is important. So you've come back in a higher frequency, and not only that, it's been founded on the two of you meeting. And you'd mentioned to me before the show that the story of, or the way you came together, was really part of the threading of this resurgence, or resurrected listening to Smile. So if you talk about that a minute, that would be really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I had an employee do some pretty underhanded things, because there was a company that was reaching out that wanted to buy Listening to Smile. They wanted to buy the rights to how we make our music, the music catalog itself, and then all of the articles attached to Listening to Smile. And they wanted me to sign a non-compete clause that basically meant that I would not be able to work in the healing music industry anymore. Like, I could not be a competition in any way to them if they bought that. And so they offered $5 million and ultimately $7 million to buy our full catalog and company. And we said no. And then there was an employee that disagreed with that and did a lot of damage to our company that we had to climb back from. So it was just some extra work. But like you said, sometimes those things happen and you rebuild stronger, from where you were before. And we went through a rebranding. And at that time, Brittany and I knew each other for a year and some months, I guess, when I was going through this rebranding and trying to get this process, moving. And like you said, it's very similar to why isn't this moving faster? It seems like we're, but it's like the divine timing of it all. And, Brittany and I found ourselves communicating over the phone as part of my program. She was one of my affiliates, and we just started having more conversations about aliens and time travel and just out there stuff. And we started having a lot of laughter and, just finding ourselves to where we weren't wanting to get off the phone. And so we had those conversations addressing like, there's some energy here between us. And it's just really interesting. I was on Paul Chek's podcast, pretty big in the health, fitness community. He was Tony Robbins' first personal trainer. He worked with Kobe Bryant, the basketball star, whenever he was got him back on the court. He wrote a strength training manual for the PGA Tour, worked with the Chicago Bulls. I mean, this guy has been through all of the sports industry, but I was lucky enough to get on his podcast, and I think that podcast got like 65,000 views or something. And so it was pretty huge. And it brought a lot of people into my world in the business side, but also Brittany. Brittany reached out and we started having conversations, and that's what brought her into the program. And bringing her into the program, we befriended each other. Mm-hmm. And it was just such a synergy.
Yeah, I remember the first time I got on the Zoom call with him. This was a sales call for to be a part of his membership program, and I already knew I was going to be a part of the program. And yeah, I knew right away that we had a soul connection, and I was already weaving his music into projects that I was already doing. And so I told him, it's like, Ian, he lived in California at the time. And I said, I really see your music here on the land in Texas, in Austin, Texas. And he's like, okay, all right. I'm in California. I don't know if that's going to happen. I feel into my timeline, like I can feel ahead of time and I can sense certain things. And sometimes I can sense what the energy is. And sometimes I don't have a whole lot of clarity. I just feel the energy around it. But I just knew his music was going to be here. And just waited patiently. And what was interesting, I mean, we were friends for probably 8-9 months. And I was at a point where, and I'm gonna speak to this because I don't know if anybody here that is watching is in a position where they're really just trying to find their soulmate and in that place. But I will say before it was August of last year, and I was holding this energy of I know who I am and who, like, the energy of the man I am trying to bring in. I feel that and I know that, and the type of people I want to surround myself with. I've spent probably 2.5 years intentionally curating my life in such a way where I'm very in tune with the energy of my home, like things on my wall, the color of my home, the music that I'm listening to, and how it is impacting me on a subconscious level, and trying to clean things up and curate my space such that I feel the most in touch with my higher self and the most aligned with the essence of who I am, if that makes sense. So anyway, in part, I was also pulling in this energy, of my soulmate. And it was maybe a week later, he calls me up and And we started, he said, Brittany, if I ever found myself in Texas, would you go out with me? And I was like, yes, I would. Yes, I would. But what's amazing is he was able to anchor in as a friend that energy that I was longing for, of this divine masculine. And then just with over like 3 or 4 weeks, it became clear. I was like, this is like, we already knew early on that we had past lives together. And so it was this sweet connection that we were able to have, to pull in, anchor in the divine masculine and feminine energies, and then explore this. And then we had this really crazy experience. I'll share this and then I'll let you guys talk. Because we were wanting to work together. I wanted to come in and do more with Listening to Smile, but then we were like, is it wise for you to come in and work? But then we're dating and I don't know which way to go, because our hearts feel very much aligned in this soul mission to work with frequencies. And so it just made sense. But then we were like in our 3D minds thinking, is that smart? And so we're on the phone. He's in California, I'm in Texas, and we're talking about our fears around doing something like this. And I have a Google Home in my room. And with Google or Alexa, it has a call. Like you have to say, okay, Google, or hey, Google, and then ask it a question, and then it says something. So we're talking and we're like, I don't know if this is right. I don't know if this is wise. And out of nowhere, Google says, we can be brave together.
That
was it.
Google.
I know. We were like,
Google got overridden.
I think the angels are trying to speak to us through Google. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was kind of crazy. But there's been so many stories like that where we're just like, this is divinely orchestrated for us to be together. And it's been protected all along the way.
And I think, Todd, what makes the story so profound is that there's couples coming to us for coaching. There's individuals, whether they're male or female, coming for frequency work and like looking to communicate. And I think we talk about it all the time. Like, we finish each other's sentences. We bring a very balanced energy between the two of us. And like when we're holding that space, I really feel like it helps people feel more comfortable in coming into that space of vulnerability and healing. And it allows them to go deeper with the frequency work than I think normally that they would. And so I feel like our meeting and the things that we've gone through has been so profound for us that it transfers to the people that we're working with. And the last thing I'll say is, like you were talking about the albums and channeling that stuff in. There's times where we're working on the album together and we'll have these like feelings and emotions because we're usually in such a good flow, and when it comes up we acknowledge these feelings and we're like, what is this? And we work through it and we talk through it and we're like, I don't think this was our stuff. It was like collective energies that allowed us to have a perspective when we're working on the album. Like this month's album for June is called Soul Mission.
Mission.
And so for us, this last few weeks, a lot of shadows and fears around old paradigms and stories came up.
There's a huge shift happening for people where we're having to shed the old and step into the new. And so there's a lot of fear. So your deep fears or shadows that keep us in that safe zone, the familiar zone, or our constructs, right? They're coming up, right, for us to look at and to make a choice. This is a lot of like course correction time, a lot of evaluating and figuring out what trajectory we're going on, because time is going to continue going on with or without you. And are you ready? Are you ready to step into who you are meant to be? And then from that essence, from who you are you going to step into that action step,
taking the leap?
Taking that leap of
taking the leap.
Yeah. So it's so there's a lot of that, and we get to feel all of it and transmute it into music every month.
Well, yeah, I'm married to a practitioner, and she sometimes will talk about it'll even come up like in the session she'll lead, or even in channeling, that this can be anchored many different ways. Like whatever the intel is. It can be through trigger, it can be through but this is a really cool way that y'all do it. So because we know at when you get right down to it, to some degree or another, it is personal because it's coming through my body, right? But at the same time, you're picking up on the collective part of it too. And I think that's something that more and more people are talking about. This is great because it gives us an idea of the new foundation, the new container. But I also wanted to ask Brittany, like, so before he came, you became an affiliate with Listening to Smile, and I went to your page when I went to see if I was getting the right Brittany to tag, and I saw your pedigree. I saw I saw your energy, and some of it was explicit in terms of what the work that you do and that type of thing. And of course, you filled in the blanks now. Did you what was your experience with using that music or listening to music in your pre-existing practitionership, and that kind of attracted you more to it?
Well, to be honest, before I found Ian, I was in a season of just deep study on the mind, body, soul, emotion connection and how everything is working together to bring you into balance. And so with that, I was working with people who use scalar energy. They use light and sound frequency to help heal the body. And so I was diving into frequency and understanding that. I had my own personal experience with light language and sound therapy during an intense healing season of my life when I had just gone through something traumatic. So I had these years of just this soft opening of frequency and energy, and I went all in and started nerding out on it. So I've been playing piano for, I don't know how many years. I was 6 years old when I started playing. So music has been a part of my life. My brother is a music director of a school here in Austin, Texas. It's just in our blood, right? And as I've been learning about all the intricacies of frequencies and how it impacts the body and how the mind and the emotions and the body are all working together, and really learning to listen deeply and consciously to how I'm responding to my environment and to my thoughts, and becoming a very good self-observer, I started listening to my heart and saying, what is Brittany actually interested in or longing to do? What is intriguing to her? And let's just play, like have playful curiosity and just see what these things are. And one of those things was music was coming in very strongly for me a few months before I had heard this podcast. And for whatever reason, it was maybe a couple months after the podcast, I was feeling really strongly that I wanted to create a certain type of music. And I felt like there's only one person. Like I said, music runs in my family, but I just knew the person who could create this music with me is Ian Morris. I hadn't met him yet. And after a meditation, I came out of the meditation feeling this strongly. I said, I want to create music with Ian Morris, and just put it out there into the world and let God do the rest, basically. And it was maybe a few weeks later, I had a call with Ian Morris, and I nerded out on that call. I was really excited. Yeah, because I felt like things were coming together for something that I was manifesting. And I think that answered your original question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So there's a couple of different components here, additional ones that we haven't really got into, because we're really the three of us, really the four of us, because Morgan's always a part of this, coming together and just kind of seeing, again, it's not like a structured kind of thing, because this is really the energy that we're all working out of now. But I guess I'll just kind of go into how this kind of occurred. Ian sent me a couple of messages, and everybody knows I'm pretty slow about answering them, just due to the volume. But I saw a couple come by. When I saw the second one or the third one, I just happened to be in transit, and I was walking around, and who's this? And I saw it was Ian again, and he said, I just need 10 minutes of your time. Well, I know his energy, and I said, yeah, I'm going to see what he wants to talk about. So the three of us met, and basically they told me the story, and there was a couple of parts of the story that really jumped out, given the energy, given the evolution that we've all kind of that we've all kind of anchored as we've gotten to this far into 2023. And one of them was, kind of before the deconstruction that we've all gone through. It's so funny how the creations went through it too. Having this exchange with this, if I'm not mistaken, a pharmaceutical company, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So having that exchange with a pharmaceutical company for $5 million, he told me now they're telling us it went as high as $7 million. That would be interested and want to purchase, which is really chump change for them. It's like 2 pennies, right?
Yeah.
And to shut somebody down, or shut an energy down, or shut down a modality, or a sacred wisdom, or coding, or whatever you want to call it, it really struck me, not the words so much, but just the energy of it, and I could see it. And then I think you went to California, and you had kind of another big conglomerate involved, and you had a situation that was very, very promising, and then the conglomerate pulled the plug on it, and then you end up in Texas and in love and broke. Okay, so this is how it but part of what you do, and really the reason, part of the reason that you contacted, because we do have a connection, was you have an event coming up in Austin, the 23rd and 24th of this month, which is just 3 weeks away. And like I said, I'm in Houston right now. There's some energetics in Austin, in this part of Texas, I felt, and other people have talked about it. They've talked about the eclipse paths that's going to conclude in April of 2024 between San Antonio and Austin. There's just a lot of energy, and I think we're finding out that the external is speaking to us in so many ways, multifaceted ways, and we have more clarity and more wherewithal when it comes to seeing it and actually acting on it, like y'all were talking about. But this, because I do want to get into your program as well, because for some reason it takes me a while to figure things out and really understand it. There's a lot of things that you say that you're very familiar with, and even though I love music, I'm going, what do you say? What are you saying? What was that term? But you've had a history. Let's start like this. Aside from what you have on your website, the program you have on your website, the affiliate program for practitioners to enhance their toolbox, you have had a history, I know at least in the recent past, of doing events. And you just mentioned to me earlier, I don't know if it was online or before we got online, that you just you had 3 veterans from the VA purchase tickets for your event in Austin.
Yeah.
So I think there's something really special about what you all are doing, because it seems to have a broad-based appeal. You've appealed to the matrix apparatuses. You've appealed to veterans. You've appealed to light workers, star seeds, practitioners. Some of these testimonies are very incredible, really fascinating. But how long have you been doing events? Not that it's like a pre-qualifier or anything.
Yeah.
And how did that kind of happen? How did it kind of lead up to this event that you're having in Austin on the 23rd and 24th of this month?
Okay. Yeah. So events since the very beginning. The company started in, November 16th, 2017 was the filing for, or 2016, sorry. Yeah, 2016, is that right? 2016 was the beginning of listening to Smile. And ever since the beginning, I've been doing events, yoga studios, holistic centers, things of that nature. I did events all the way up until COVID. This story I'm about to tell, I've heard a lot of other businesses and practitioners tell very similar stories, but I had just got some investors, got some funding, made some videos, was really getting some momentum going big time in the business. And it was the first time I can remember just being super stoked. I did some events at Carnegie Mellon. I did some events at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, had some really good momentum going, booked out the entire year of having events, super excited, yoga studios, holistic centers, and then COVID hit. And when that happened, it was just one by one, people started canceling. And there was a lot of yoga studios and different practitioners that ended up closing.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Having done quite a few different types of events and then seeing some done more inclined with what you do.
Yeah.
Kind of take us through just so we can understand what happens at an event.
Okay.
I realize that you're introducing what you're doing, so I'm sure you're playing your music. Are you also explaining it and that type of thing? Okay.
Yeah, so this event that we're doing on the 23rd, there's two events that are inside of each other. So the 24th is actually a training for practitioners to become certified with listening to Smile, that what we call the LTS method, and to be able to utilize the music in their business and to have the certification. And then we're going to list them on our website. They're going to go through a whole day of training for online and in-person events, and then they're going to have confidence in how this music works, why it works, the explanation and copy of how to promote it to your community and to build revenue from it. The first night is actually open to the public. The 23rd is actually open to the public, and our affiliates are going to be there to witness and to be aware of how these functions go off. And so we're doing it at an art gallery in the Galleria in Bee Cave. And the gallery is, connected with like South by Southwest. They're working, they've worked with Austin City Limits. They've, they've sold paintings to Willie Nelson and Matthew McConaughey. It's just a really cool space.
So you got a prime location.
Yes, exactly.
But I just want to understand it because I'm afraid if I can't understand it fully, okay. I just want to make sure that everybody does.
Okay.
Now, so the first night's open to the public, and
yes.
and I would think that it's again, the music is obviously on point, and then supported by what is kind of like what we're doing. What is this? How does it work? And but it's not just the music that you're putting out there. It's a program itself, and
it's
so
an experience.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like this event. It sounds like it's an extension of what your site is. If I'm going to use the term your site, like what if somebody goes to the site and looks at it, the program that you have, what they get, it sounds like this is like an extension of that, on a personal level where you're connecting with people in a much more in-depth experience. As we all know, people that have gone to expos or festivals, it can be a very powerful thing when there's where two or more gather. Yeah. But I guess this is part of Saturday is where you work directly with the people that make the exchange to come and gain from the experience both in that weekend, but also from there, because the idea being they're gonna put it to use.
Yeah. So I'll make it real quick. So the Friday night that's open to the public, there's basically going to be surround sound speakers. There's going to be subwoofers, 18-inch subwoofers, 12-inch speakers all the way around the room. There's going to be live painter. Chicasso is a painter here in Texas. He's going to be painting live at the event, pulling from the energy of the meditation and the music. And so at the end, everyone's going to get to see the painting. We're going to do a walkthrough. Brittany does guided meditation. We have a breath worker that's going to do a little breath work. We're going to set an intention with the group of people that come. You're going to feel the vibration in your body. The floor will vibrate. The walls vibrate. It's a very powerful experience. It reminds me of
the first Soulogy Fest, they had a dome,
Yeah.
and you would go. I don't know is that what they call it? It's a dome, and you would go in and stand like in the middle,
Yeah.
and you could, like it was a real, and that's what they would do in there. They would do sound healing, drums, different things. So is this a small area? I guess that you're going to encircle with all the speakers.
It's not super small. It's a decent size art gallery, and
Okay.
and then the thing that's really neat is the biggest part of this event is going to be the sharing and networking at the end of the event. So people are going to share like what their experience was, thoughts, feelings, colors, images that come up for them.
Okay.
It's not abnormal that people have big release at these events, like crying, laughing,
Right.
just
Right.
all of that type of thing. But it's basically going to be a lot of talk therapy and just connecting afterwards. And then we'll break for the night, and the people who are coming to Saturday will go back to their hotel. And then the next morning we have a hotel ballroom that is rented out, and we're going to be doing the training there the next day, and it's going to basically get them certified, and they're going to be able to utilize this and do this blueprint back at their home location. And so it's just a way to really bring in new blood to businesses and practitioners to really build networking inside of their community.
Now, in terms of the capability of would you call them affiliates? Is that what you
Yeah,
call them? Okay.
members or affiliates is acceptable. Yeah.
Okay. So in regard to what's happening in Austin in 3 weeks, those folks that come to that are getting an intense experience because they're there in person. When they get back to wherever they're coming from, and they implement this, they're pretty much. It sounds like they have the program that you can also engage online through what you have already set up.
Yes.
Okay.
So when someone becomes an affiliate, what they get is Brittany does a lot of the write-ups about the songs. So it's complete transparency. When people get the downloads of the albums as an affiliate, they have all the astrology information for the month. They got the monthly album, and then they'll have all the write-ups, like what frequencies the songs are in. Goes into very extreme detail to be transparent so people know the intention of the album, the intention of each individual song. And then they're able to license that music and utilize it in any commercial space without fear of getting sued or videos taken down. And then they can also sell it, and then they'll also have the ability to charge their own tickets and host their own events to people in. So it's a really neat experience.
Wow. And now, okay, what was the next one? I had a question on top of my head, then I went to another one. Okay, so that's now as far as, I know what I was going to mention here, interject here. Many of the people that are probably listening right now are not familiar with your stuff directly. There are some people on here that have made comments that are and have been with you for quite some time.
Yeah.
We could play some of it, but I think it might be more advantageous. Now we can put up the website here in a minute and show people where you're located and what's on it. But some of the testimonials, to me, it's a testimonial that a pharmaceutical company discovered you and offered you $5 and then $7 million to sign an NDA and not a non-compete. A non-compete, and want to take you off the table. And basically probably just store away your records and your data and your songs in some, dark cavern a mile below the surface. To me, that's a testimonial. The other thing that's a testimonial is going to LA and getting in again with that element, you might say, not in a bad way, but that's establishment. And
you can say, if you want to say, Cliff Bar is who we signed, the client, the protein bar company, Cliff Bar.
Yeah.
And we were super excited because they were actually using our music for their employees. And we were working for employee wellness with that. And then what ended up happening is Cliff Bar got bought out like literally 6 months later by Kraft Foods for $5 billion. They got bought out. And so they ended up firing everyone that was working with our music. That entire department got fired. And so it just was, we were out of that opportunity. But it was really exciting to be working with that company because they had a lot of money and a lot of resources to implement our program and to really make a difference. And we were getting some really amazing testimonials, and then they got bought out by Kraft. So
Yeah, so I wouldn't eat any more of those power bars.
no.
Kraft took it over. So let's talk about, and I know you can go to Listening to Smile on YouTube, and there's some testimonials there.
Yes.
And I'm sure on the website too. I've got the website pulled up. But you told me a couple of really amazing stories.
Yeah.
And I know you probably have a whole bunch of them. If you've been putting this out every month, an album for 8 years, that's a long time. That's 96 months. You got 100 albums?
Yeah, there's over 100, and I have almost 800 songs in my discography now. It's getting up there, so
Wow.
it's a lot.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, my friend Ty, I don't think he plays 25 instruments though, but he's got quite a catalog of his own. And and this is amazing too, because I know there's other people out there that are probably doing the same thing, not the same exact thing,
Yeah.
but that are tapping into that, that branch of the tree of life that kind of got left with our memories or whatever you want to call it. But just a different. There's probably a guy doing it with reggae. There's probably a guy doing it with a neoclassical or whatever. I don't know. But the fact that if we can get these things out there, and this would again include like practitioners like Brittany, like my wife, like there's so many different things. Like it just blows my mind that the whole world doesn't know about Franco de Nicola. God rest him. And so I really feel like that old saying, things are upside down. We might think these are small measures, but they're actually really, really big measures because they're coming from souls that are wide open.
Yeah.
In a vortex of a gathering, of a moment or an event or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of power behind that. It's almost like everybody's energy gets behind it. But are there a couple other, or can you give us just a few, 2, 3, 4, stories that kind of impressed you with, did any of them shock you, by the way?
Oh yeah, totally. So you want to talk about the 2 new ones? That's probably the most. Yeah. So about 3 weeks ago, we got contacted by a woman that is friends with my uncle, and my uncle told her to reach out to me. And so her son was a wrestler. He was 16 years old. He got picked up by the opponent over his head, and he was dropped on the mat, but he landed on his neck, and it broke his neck. And so he's 16 years old. His mom sent us some pictures of him in the hospital, and they told her that he was going to be quadriplegic. He was not going to have bladder or bowel function, and that they needed to prepare for the worst, right? So she called me and she was like, what should I do? What kind of music? Your uncle said that I should check this out. And so basically what I told her is I said, listen, I'm not a medical doctor. So I said, please, take this with, a grain of salt, but don't believe what they're saying. I said, if you do that and you buy into that immediately, you leave no room for the miracle to take place. And I said, if you're familiar with Joe Dispenza, and she wasn't, I said, Joe Dispenza was told he would never walk by different specialists, and they were telling him they wanted to fuse his spine together and he would never walk again. And he refused to believe that. And in a miracle, he started walking again, and he made a commitment to God saying, if you help me walk again, I will, dedicate my life to helping people overcome mind over matter instances like this. And so they checked out his story, and I told her, I said, your intention is a powerful thing. What this music can do is it is the fuel. So I always tell people frequency is the fuel, right? So the intention must be programmed by us. We have to be at a point where we are ready to heal. If we put that intention with the power of sound, this sound will amplify and make this a more powerful transmission. It's an amazing thing that music has such a powerful effect on the human spirit and body. It's unbelievable. So they bought a few albums. We gave them a few free albums. They started working with the music 3-4 hours a day. 3 weeks later, we checked back on them on progress, and there was some little progress. But this last week, he made massive progress where he has bladder function back, his bowel function is back, and then he took 3 steps on his own without assistance. And so it's a slow process, but she believes that he's going to fully recover. And so she was saying that she wanted to do a testimonial because the music, and they said just communicating with Brittany and I and what we're doing, putting that positivity and that intention and like putting the weight on how powerful that intention is as an individual and as a family surrounding him, believing in him, and then using the music. She said she wanted to do a testimonial of how much that changed their lives. And then about 2 days later, this is all in this last week, and every day we're getting, written emails or voice messages or people calling in, giving us these amazing testimonials. So it's just so humbling to be a part of this with people. There was a woman in Australia that started listening to our music, and her husband had stage 4 cancer and was going through some really experimental drugs and just really hard times. And she was saying that they started listening to the music hours at a time, and they started putting it through their scalar machine and having these huge, changes in his body to the point where he got off of his medication and started moving around more, having more energy in his body. And so she was just saying like how powerful it was, and that they wanted to do a testimonial for us. And so just in this last few weeks, it's just been so, anytime I get down about like wanting this to be out to more people or anything like that, or any thought like that, these testimonials come in, and it's just so humbling where you just have to remember like why you're doing this, why I'm doing this, and the effects that it's having on people. It's really amazing to be a part of it.
Yeah. I think that's why these sonic meditations are so important, and this certification is important because, we're just 2 people hosting sonic meditations, and if we can empower our affiliates with confidence to talk about the frequency minded music, to share it with others, to host their own sonic meditations, give them inspiration to make money, to give them the game plan and a framework to go out there, make money, and help change lives and introduce frequency minded music to their communities all over the world. How cool is that? And so you're starting within your own community and making on these like a small scale huge impacts on individual levels, right?
I think that's I'll just So I think the thing that's neat is we're in 9 different countries, and so when you talk about like the same album is being utilized in 9 different countries around the world on the same month. And so you start thinking about the connectivity energetically that's making. It's just so cool to be a part of that.
So that's what I was just thinking about. 2 things. One is it could be a standalone. It's really, in addition to, it could be, something they add to their toolkit, but it could be a standalone because the power of it isn't just, having it in the toolbox. The power of it's actually every time it's played, because it's, again, there is that connectivity to everyone else. And the fact that you're tying it to a month, and the fact that there's no linear, you know what I mean? So it's like right now, like anyone who sees this show, whether it be live or on a replay, whether it be tomorrow or tonight or a year from now, it's all here now, right? And so that's a lot of really, really powerful intention. That's kind of like taking form on the new grid in a new way of old. It's beyond the traditional communication bandwidth that we had, or however you want to put it, because I think we're more open and we're ready. Now, if you want, I can take us to the website, and if you want to go through it that way, because I think probably we've come this far. It's not just the music; it's an entire architecture here, and many of the things that we have going on out there. You could look at anything, or not anything, but many things. You could look at Reiki. You could look at QHHT. It's the same type of thing. This has a little different slant than a lot of them because of the music. But it's an architecture. So within that architecture itself, is a sacred union frequency, is the unity consciousness frequency, Christ consciousness frequency, whatever the elements are that you're creating, all those different things, including, what's going on that month and really filling into it together. I mean, this is pretty cool. And then I guess other people are going to pick up on that as well through your training and just through the ether, so to speak, just through kind of the cosmic osmosis.
Yeah.
How do you want to kind of go through what I think it'd probably be a good idea to go through what the offering is, through the virtual connection, if you will.
Yeah.
And then also what the offering is, how the structure is, what the energy exchange is for both that piece as well as the piece in Austin and other events like that.
Okay. Yeah. So the June 23rd that's open to the public, the exchange is $30. It's a $30 ticket. It's a 3-hour event. So you're talking $10 an hour
Right.
to come be a part of that event. And there's going to be a lot of communication, networking, and just a lot of soul connecting. The name of the album that we're showcasing that night is Soul Mission. So it's going to be a powerful experience. We already have, I think, 3 doctors that are signed up coming that night. We have a lot of musicians and artists that are coming. We have a lot of practitioners. And then obviously the affiliates who are going to be a part of the Saturday are going to be there. But I just, and we've sold a decent amount of tickets, and what's neat for the Friday, June 23rd. But what's really neat is usually like the last week and a half is when people really start buying tickets, and it's always neat to see the types of people that kind of culminate in this event, and then just the energies and how they interact with each other is just so cool. So $30 for like a sonic meditation is what people look at. The albums that we have on our Bandcamp that people can get through our website or through our YouTube, anywhere from $25 to $70. The ones that are $70 are about 3 hours of music. It's really powerful the way they're laid out. They're really easy to follow. Like it's for pain relief, for anxiety, shamanic drumming, movement meditation. So it's like what you're getting when you purchase it. It gets really targeted in the structure and playlist of those albums. And then for person to become an affiliate for the year, it's $700. And what they get for that is 2 free albums when they sign up. Then they get an album every single month with all the information. They get a login for their affiliate to where they're able to sell the programs. Their kickbacks, what we call gratitude payments, are anywhere from $194 all the way up to $400, $500 on some of the programs if they sell that to their community. They can sell CDs and get percentage of the CDs, and then they get the licensing so they don't get sued, and they can use it on all social media outlets, and then they get support. I think that's the biggest thing, is they get support for the year, whether it's marketing, whether it's technical issues, whether it's questions about sound healing. They're able to grow as a practitioner because they have the support and have a connection to help them grow into this business and to utilize it in all aspects. So that's their commitment for the year, is $700. And then for this affiliateship, the early bird price is $2,100, and that's for both days. It covers the Friday and the Saturday. They get the affiliateship and the ticket price. That's what we're offering your community, which is basically they're getting the affiliateship for free. And so this is something that we're not doing in other communities, but for Soulogy, we're doing that, where you guys will have the ability to come to the event and have the affiliateship for the entire year, and then also get the certification at the event on Saturday and all of the training to where they feel more confident doing this in other locations, like at their, whether it's their practice or their home office or wherever they're operating out of, and then bringing that to their community and being able to grow that. So, we know that this has been brought to your community kind of, in the late stage of the game, but
that's the way it works.
Yeah. And we're,
I mean, and let me clarify. I think that, for me, the reason that I feel like, this needed to happen, I have no explanation for it. I don't think it's some kind of seed or something. I can't really explain it. I think people need to see what you're doing and people like you. But yeah, I think in this case, because it's kind of well, it's it's a localized event.
Yeah.
It's not like it's being live streamed. So I think it's really important to focus on that region. So I'm putting this, I'm part of this because I like to see people get out there to this type of event, and I feel like I'm swimming in the lower half of Texas energetic waters, and I can feel collaborations and new creations and new types of partnerships or whatever you want to call it. But I think if I understand it correctly, anyone within earshot that's technically here in the Soulogy land, if you're in that area or in a neighboring state, a bordering state, or wherever, or you're interested in what's going on here and you'd like to get a closer look, what you're saying is that the early bird price is $2,100, but with that, not only do you get the weekend, you also get the affiliateship. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And it also sounds like that, again, to restate it like in layman's terms and just to make sure I got it right, is that when somebody gets onto the program and then goes back home to implement it, it's really not just a tool to put in the toolbox and incorporate it into the practitionership or into their sessions. It's even beyond that, really. It's because of the licensing and your openness to allowing it to be put out on social media or used in any way in that manner. Okay, means to me, or it sounds to me like that you're talking about music that's versatile, that they could use if they're making a video. As an instrumental or behind
a commercial.
Or a commercial. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I just wanted to be clear about that and make sure that I understood it right and I wasn't going to say something wrong.
Yeah.
Or even if you wanted to make your own meditation, if you become a member, then you can collaborate with Listening to Smile and create your own meditation, and he'll mix and master it with the music.
And that one last thing, Todd, is we just started our first. Everything we've done is instrumental music or some singing here and there for our music, but we just started a guided meditation series where Paul Check was the first guy that did it. The next one, celebrity chef Pete Evans. We have an MMA
from
fighter.
Australia.
Yeah, from Australia.
Now, are they doing the narration?
Yeah, so I'm doing the music, they're doing the voiceover, and then we mix it together in a video series on our YouTube. If you go to, it's just Listening to Smile Music on YouTube. You can go and you can see Paul Check's, there's a sample of his video on there, and it's neat. It's got some video work, and it's a visual meditation. You can watch it, and so they're going to be doing it. And we have Kyle Kingsbury from Texas has agreed to do it. Celebrity chef Pete Evans from Australia is doing it. We've got some really cool people coming into this guided meditation series, so it's going to be really neat.
It's cool. Sound like you got a lot of legs on this spider.
Yeah, we sure do. Yeah.
Well, so now, do you have a link on the website for the Austin thing?
We do, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we do, and also on our YouTube channel, the very top video that plays when you come to our YouTube channel on a computer.
I feel like the YouTube channel is probably the best link to give
Yeah.
because you can hear sample music, you can listen to the testimonials, you can check out more podcasts, but then also there's, I think the first video, right?
Yeah, the very first video, if you're on a computer, it's the first video that pops up.
Let's see here.
Are you passionate about sound, vibration, and its power to transform lives? Do you want to help others feel the compelling, transformative effects of music that you've experienced? If you're ready to take your healing practice to the next level, Listening to Smile can empower you with an easy-to-learn, quick-to-implement, and highly effective tool called Frequency Minded Music. Join us and see how Listening to Smile can help you achieve your goals in our new Sonic Meditation Certification Program. The program is designed for all levels of expertise, from those just starting out to experienced practitioners and healers. Our program provides a comprehensive guide to building a successful business around frequency-minded music, allowing practitioners to create their own unique practice while staying ahead of sound and energy trends by working alongside Listening to Smile. Together, we will unlock the powerful potential of frequency-minded music and spread its healing energy around the world.
I mean, it put me in a better place, and it did totally relax me, and it did relieve a lot of the pain I've had.
I'm a living example that you should believe it, that this really works, and it will work for you if you try it.
It was a very grounding yet liberating experience, to say the least. I would love to have other people join me with this experience. I feel like I'm never going to be the same again. It's like a forever changing experience.
Wow. All right. Well, wait a minute. Wow. And you say the link for the Austin thing is on there too, right?
Yeah, the video that you just watched, if you go to the description in that video, the link to sign up for the certification is there. And then on our website, we have the event, like where you can sign up for the Friday night and be a part of that. We also have a newsletter that if you join the newsletter, you'll get all the updates from that as well.
Yeah, this is the website here, right?
Yes.
I don't think we have the link to the event.
Oh, it's
Oh,
not.
it's not on here.
Yeah,
It's the Sonic
It's
Minute.
just
It's
the
the
certification. The certification's on the website.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. All right.
I suggest just joining the mailing list.
Yeah,
right?
joining the mailing list will get
Yeah.
the information. Or if they just want to email us my email is ian@listeningtosmile.com. So IAN@listeningtosmile.com. And we can get the information to them for whatever they're interested in that way too.
Yeah.
Right on. So if you're in the Austin area, 23rd, 24th,
Yes.
you got to go on. And it sounds like too, because I'm pretty familiar with that area. I mean, I live there and I know the area because I've lived in Texas most of my life. I know the energy of the town. I know the evolution of the town. It's not what it used to be, but what it is. But one thing that is happening over there that I'm very aware of, and quite a few people that I've talked to that are familiar with the area, is that there is I don't know if you would call it a movement, but in a lot of places that I've been, especially where there's been a progressive or open or spiritual slant, there has been in all of us, and I'm not throwing shade on anybody, but in environments that reflect us as well, kind of that great divide, kind of the old and the new. I probably shouldn't say this, but I refer to it as like the plastic part of it. I've collaborated with, all parties involved. But my point is that the scuttlebutt is, or the word is that in Austin, there obviously is a lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of abundance, you might say. And there are people that are hitting their head on the wall that are starting to say, this is not working. The treadmill's not working. And they're actually trying to get involved in movements like Soulogy, movements like Listening to Smile. It sounds like with what you've got going over there already, even for this event, and I'm sure prior to having built up to it, and Brittany having been there, you're pretty rooted there. Are getting rooted there in that area, and you're attracting from a local persona that you're building, a local branding, as well as the virtual, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's interesting because I was in like around San Francisco, Oakland, Piedmont, and California before I moved here, and actually drove from San Diego straight to Austin. It was like a 17-hour drive. It was like straight through one day, just like hit it hard.
That's what a woman will do to you.
Yeah, that's right. But the thing that's interesting is when I landed here in Bee Cave, it reminds me so much of like Napa, California. And the landscape and just the people and even the wealth that is in this area, it's nothing to go out and see Lambos and Corvettes and Porsches.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's LA
Yeah.
12 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but on the other side, I was there a few weeks ago, and I got to meet with a friend of mine from here in Houston went up there, Kate Lumley, who's working on something, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, which is kind of one of the reasons I wanted to do something with y'all tonight, because there's so many artists, so many creators, so many practitioners that are just launching their dream, you could say, their purpose. But anyway, she's one of them. There's another sister that lives out on Bee Cave. She lives in Bee Cave, and
Okay.
she utilizes horses, I believe, in her practice, and really, really cool lady. But yeah, that was part of the conversation. And even what I observed in the downtown Capitol area, 6th Street, not so much 6th Street, but you know, the areas where you kind of see what's happening. Yeah, it was pretty obvious. So it sounds like it might be a little mecca.
Yeah.
And that,
It is.
you know, if there's something of substance, because as we know, the more time that passes, whether it be a production or an initiative like this or a person or whatever, if it's not real, it's not going to stick. So I think it's real important that we've anchored ourselves. We always have work to do, but we're anchoring this new grid, and now it's time to anchor our creation. So I'm really open to supporting everyone to do that, and I hope that we can contribute at Soulogy to that. But it's not something Todd's going to do. It's something we all do together, and I think we'll find our way and we'll make it happen through events like this. So.
Yeah.
Again, if you're in Austin, 23rd, 24th this month, this event sounds like it's going to be a very good event. I think, I know a lot of people in the area: Houston, San Antonio, Austin, Dallas. Even if you look at Western Louisiana, Southern Arkansas, Southern Oklahoma, that would be in a drive of a day drive. That have kind of the same trajectory, creating their own thing. I think it's good for us to rub shoulders, even if you come just for the first night. I agree with what you're saying about the whole networking thing, not just retelling the experience that's had in that given situation, but just picking up the code from each other, even with what we don't say to each other, just in the spirit of what we're doing. I think it's well worth it, and I've really enjoyed it. I feel like this has been a very worthy hour and a half. And if why don't you tell everybody again where they can find you, and whatever you want to conclude with. And thank you very much, both of you. It's a pleasure meeting you. I hope to meet y'all in the flesh soon. I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
Thank you,
man. I just want to say there was a question on here. It said 440 hertz ? And so 444 is my favorite area my tuning to work in is 444. Solfeggio is in that. We work in 432 a lot, and we work in a lot of the standard tune like India singing bowls and chakra systems based off of that school of thought. But most everything we do is in 444 or 432. So I just wanted to say that.
You should explain to people why that matters because of standard tuning.
I don't want to run over because we've talked a lot tonight, but basically there's a whole conspiratorial view on how the Rockefeller Foundation and the Henry Ford Foundation changed a lot of things as far as like fluoridation of the water. The standard tune of music was shifted. There was a lot of things that were created to create docile followers for the industrial.
Move people out of their hearts into their heads.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what Ian's music does, and it's the most powerful. Sorry to interrupt here.
It's okay.
Because I used to listen to 432 hertz music on Spotify, just anything I could find, and then I found his music, and it is the most powerful I've ever heard. And I think it has a lot to do with the way he mixes and masters and just the way that he creates his music. It is truly magnificent. But the intention is it's helping people drop into their hearts, helping people feel, helping people come back into the essence of who they are. And this event on the 23rd it's like an activation. It's like, who are you? who are you here to be, and helping people feel that. Like I tell people, this music is a gateway for people to be still and know God, whatever that means to you. It in these sonic meditations allow people to find that stillness enough that they can drop into the essence of who they are. And sometimes that looks like they're crying, or sometimes they're laughing, or sometimes they're feeling like this out of body experience. And sometimes they're healing, they're transmuting, or they're finding themselves and like locking into the essence of who they are. That's why these sonic meditations are so important, and I think could really change communities on an individual level. So
yeah, and Todd, the tickets that we've sold so far have been from Canada, Mexico, California. There's people coming from, like, the veterans that are coming are from the Seattle VA Center in Seattle, Washington. There's 3 of them
there
coming.
you
So,
go.
yeah, so it's really exciting. But anyways, listening to Smile music on YouTube is probably, there's samples of music, there's testimonials you can get. That we even have some of our what I call signature frequencies on there, frequencies that we've developed outside of solfeggio or 432 that we feel like are very profound and effective. I've been studying frequency, since 2011, and it's just been a daily thing that I've, immersed myself in. And so this is something that I've really explored and trying to bring to people in this way. So listening to Smile music on YouTube, listening to smile.com is our website. We love hearing from people. If people want to ask questions or reach out or have questions about the event, they can email us or join the newsletter and, learn everything that they need.
yeah, email it's IAN at listeningtosmile.com. Yeah, if you have any questions about anything we've talked about tonight, about the event or anything like that. Yeah.
Or you should write to Brittany at.
You could write to me, or you could just write to me.
I'm just kidding.
You could write to
I'm
me.
just
It's
kidding.
much
She's like, man,
simpler.
just send it there.
Mine's Brittany.Churchill at listeningtosmile.com. So yes, you can email me as well.
No, I'm just messing with you. Well, yeah, I'm really I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys get done. And everybody's creations. I'm really at a loss for how's this all going to happen, but because it seems like anything we build with any dualistic component just isn't going to stick, or at least that part of it. But I think it does require a lot of not require, but for the growth, it requires collaboration. We've done all this stuff many times inside of ourselves. This is what we are, but to actually physicalize it with our, as Franco used to say, our playmates is pretty extraordinary. So
Can I say one last thing? Okay, I just want to say this. I think it's important. Whoever's left, I think, should hear this. I don't think there's anyone that's self-made. Like, right. You hear that comment quite a bit, like they're self-made. Every story, like for instance, if you've ever watched the documentary The Black Godfather, it's on Netflix. I highly suggest everyone watch this movie. It's if you like music, art, culture in any form, this is an amazing movie. But basically what it shows is this man was instrumental in bringing the Black community into the entertainment industry. He put on Quincy Jones, he put on Will Smith, he put on Oprah. It's like, and so you start seeing all these people that you think are self-made, and then you see this man opening doors, creating opportunities, and helping them to walk through it. And even helping them to step into who they are. Like one of the skits one of the parts in the documentary, Will Smith was talking about being on Fresh Prince. That was his breaking show. And he said that Quincy Jones had invited him to a party and didn't tell him what was going on. So he gets to the house and Quincy's like, hey man, I need you to come in the living room and read for this show. And he was like, I don't know, man. Like he was 18 years old. He's like, I don't know, man, if I should, go in there and do this. And he's like, look, man, there's the person that you're going to be or the person that you're not going to be, and it's going to be tonight. So you're going to go in there and read this script in front of all these people, and you're going to do a good job, and you're going to get the show, right? So Will Smith went in there, did the reading, got the show, changed his life, became a star. And so I think all of us have these people in our life, whether it's family, friends. It can be people that doubt us. It can be people that criticize us, and it gives us the willpower and the drive to say, I'm going to show you, hold my beer, right? like watch this, you know? And so whatever it is that makes us motivated to do these things, I think that all of these things, whether it's our inspirations, the things that externally or internally that we've been through that create this. And the reason I'm saying this is we need help with this event. This is our first large event in Austin. You know, we've sold out our smaller events and they've done really awesome, but we're taking that leap. We're going into the Soul Mission. I've done this in other parts around the country, but it's the first time doing this here. So the people that rally around this and come and meet us and enjoy this event are helping be that platform that's helping us to get this off of the ground in this area. And we want to repay that the same way. You know, I just linked a guy from this area, from California, with Paul Check's community. And it's going to be, you know, they have Celebrity Network. And so anywhere that we have an opportunity to do that for other people, we try to do that. But we're also saying, we need help. We can't do this on our own. So every person that buys an album, every person that shows up to a show, every person that just tells someone else, hey, I saw this cool thing called Listening to Smile. Check this out. You might like it. Literally is transforming our lives as, you know, the company, but also the people that we're able to reach. You know, we can't do this on our own. So we know that we need help, and it's all a collaboration. Like you said, like, you know, the people who listen to the music or support it or show up at the events, like, you know, us doing this is nothing without those people.
So true.
Yeah.
Right on. All right. Well, I'll be talking to you guys soon. Thank you so much for sharing with me and collaborating with us. And just keep it going, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, man. Have an amazing week. What rest of your week?